Adim, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So before we go into the business of lumbering, which is the focus commodities today, take us through the burning economic issues and their implications.
Yes, it's been a very interesting week in the commodity space this week. Brent is a bit soft this morning. I think the main story there is that China has vowed to slap sanctions on U.S., slap tariffs on U.S. petroleum products. Now, the risk there is that would limit energy demand growth. So that's why oil is a bit soft today. Then the next topical issue is external reserves have indeed fallen below that psychological resistance point of $47 billion, the lowest point since April 2018. Though another risk there is that this might trigger speculative attacks on the currency, like Bosun alluded to. If you couple that with the already charged political environment that we are in now, there's likely that there's going to be a run on portfolio funds and hot money and all that. South Africa's external reserves is also 50.5 billion. And the reason why South Africa is there because they're also quite failing the same similar developments elections are doing in 2019. A lot of investment inflows have come in since the installation of President Ramaphosa. And likewise, like Nigeria, the reserves are also under pressure. We're seeing a massive exit of portfolio funds. So the rand and also the naira are also under a lot of pressure. The third point we have, the naira is steady at $360, but it has appreciated against the dollar to $475 naira to a pound. The story there is that the rhetoric is slowly shifting from Britain leaving the EU without a trade deal. Yeah. I think Mark Carney, the Bank of England central governor, said that would be a catastrophic scenario for both the EU and the UK. For example, supply chains would be disrupted, EU contracts with UK companies would be ripped up, UK contracts with EU companies would be ripped up, and the legal rights of EU citizens in the UK will be upended. That means there will be illegal limbo. So that is a very not appealing situation if that happens. And if we decide to bring that home and how that will affect Nigeria, I think the fact that if the UK leaves the EU without a trade deal, I think the UK will be more likely to sign free trade agreements with emerging markets like Nigeria. They'll be governed by World Trade Organization rules, and they'll be more willing to sign more investment and trade deals with emerging markets like Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and what have you. And another point on our burning economic issues is that Nigeria imported an average of 53.7 million liters. However, I think the real estimate is that our fuel imports are closer to 35 million liters a day. So I think this confirms that there's a lot of smuggling going on. And that would only likely to continue as long as that price differential between our price of fuel and the price of fuel in neighboring countries like Benin Republic, Ghana, and what have you.
Well, I guess Bosun is itching to chip in some words here. Hello, Bosun.
Well, yes, Chimeze Adim was alluding to one very important story. We've not really been able to put our fingers on what's the actual domestic consumption. We see numbers from the NNPC all the time about what we import, but again, it's neither here or there. Now the government says they want to install some measure of metering to allow us capture how much is our domestic consumption. Do you think this will help us resolve some of these issues? In particular, subsidy.
Yes, most definitely. I think no one actually knows the real amount we import every day, and that is a problem. We don't know how much actually goes towards smuggling. So if a metering system is installed, it will definitely quell that challenge. And this number also confirms there's a lot of fictitious booking of fuel, and that is only inflating our import bill. So the sooner we know we can evaluate the real amount we import every day for fuel, the better it is for the country.
Okay, Adim, just a quick one. Take us through the business of lumbering. Why is timber particularly important?
Well, I think this commodity speaks to a very fundamental issue we have today, which is climate change. I think looking at this number is very troubling. Nigeria is the second country has the second largest rate of deforestation. 57% of our forest has been lost. That is very concerning, and it's fair to say that the effects of climate change has arrived in Nigeria. Harmattan season is hotter, flooding. We had experienced widespread flooding in 2017 and 2016. And this year, the rainy season has been non-existent, as you say. So I think from the consumer point of view, the biggest risk is food security. And climate change would only make the situation worse. And that is not good news. That's very troubling for the consumer.
I'm sure some other time we'll have more time to talk about that particular issue. Thank you very much for your time, Adil. Well, it's another trading week. Let's cross over now to the exchange for an update from Bosun. Hello, Bosun. Good morning once again. So how is it coming up today?
Yes, the trading day is coming up very slow and steady, if you want to put it. But of course, as you may expect, the big story is still around GT Bank numbers we spoke about earlier on the program and still making the headlines this morning. As we speak, the shares of these companies gone up 70 points, or what you call 70 kobo. The high price 39.70, the selling price 51.55 on the trading board of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Volume is still very small, however. Early today, investors are looking forward to a more trading action on this company reporting 30 kobo per share. This tier one lender reporting 30 kobo per share, interim dividend payable later in August. That's the big story. We see a little bit of that moving the rest of the banking space this morning, with UBA share price up by 10 kobo as well as we speak to Naira at Naira 60 on the trading board. So that is one big story we're looking at here. So the banking sector as we speak now is 3.42% in the positive territory on the counters of the exchange. Then you find that giving fillip also to the insurance sector, where you're looking at about 0.1%, 0.11%, about 5 minutes ago on the counters to see on the ticker tape. So the banking sector and insurance are making some gains as we speak. Industrials and consumer goods sectors are still in negative territory, largely flat as we speak. Flat, not negative, but it's still flat. We're yet to see any major move in those stocks. It's still within the first 1 hour here. Then you look at the NSE 30 index, which is where you find the most capitalized companies on the exchange, the 30 of them, where you find, of course, you have UBA and you have GT Bank. That space is up 3.48%. So the NSE 30 is 3.48%. So we're looking at perhaps this will give us a positive landing today when the market finally closes, looking at earnings. We don't have any earnings announcement yet for today's trading day, which is the fourth trading day of the week. Here at the Stock Exchange, we're looking at what will happen before the end of the day. Remember, GT Bank reported after hours yesterday, and the market is having their first reaction as we open to the floor this morning. In terms of the all-share index, a bit of an uptick of that as well, a little bit above 36,000 as well. Chimeze, back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that update, Bosun. I also look forward to a positive close today. Thank you for your time, Bosun. Well, it's on that note that we wrap up today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi as well.